Tulips, now a symbol of the Netherlands, were once the obsession of Ottoman sultans. In Istanbul, a single rare bulb could cost more than a house. This was the tulip era, a time of wealth, art, and lavish garden parties. The Ottomans weren't just conquerors, they were patrons of beauty and culture. Their story is more than battles, it's about people, ideas, and the flow of time. From humble warriors on Anatolia's plains, they rose to link east and west, shaping the world for centuries. Istanbul, once Constantinople, became their capital, a bridge between worlds. They inherited ancient traditions and forged a new identity. The Ottomans held together a diverse empire of many faiths and cultures for centuries. Their journey is a lesson in power, governance, and the rise and fall of civilizations. We'll walk their streets, meet their sultans, and witness their dazzling heights and slow decline. And it all began with a small band of warriors and a vision greater than themselves. The Ottoman story begins around 1300 with Osman I, leader of a small Turkish tribe in Anatolia. Osman's followers, the Ghazis, believed they were destined to expand their world. Their early victories were small but significant, carving out territory and building a state. Osman's son, Orhan, captured Bursa in 1326, making it the first Ottoman capital. The Ottomans established government, currency, and the Janissaries, elite soldiers taken as boys from Christian families trained to serve the Sultan. Expansion wasn't just by force. They used diplomacy, alliances, and religious tolerance, allowing Christian and Jewish communities to keep their faith for attacks. This approach brought stability and loyalty from diverse subjects. In the mid-1300s, they crossed into Europe, establishing a foothold in the Balkans, a turning point. Over the next century, they defeated Serbian, Bulgarian, and Hungarian armies, pushing deeper into Europe. By the early 1400s, they surrounded Constantinople, transforming from a small tribe into a mighty empire. The Ottomans were now a European power, poised to change history. Their blend of military strength and pragmatic rule set them apart. They offered order in a chaotic region, and many welcomed their rule. The stage was set for their greatest conquest. The world was about to witness the fall of a 1,000-year city. The Ottomans were knocking on the gates of Constantinople. Constantinople, the legendary capital of Byzantium, had stood for centuries as a symbol of Christian power. By the mid-1400s, the city was a shadow of its former self, surrounded by a young, ambitious Ottoman Empire. Sultan Mehmed II, just 21, was determined to conquer it. He built Rumeli Hisari Fortress to cut off aid and commissioned a supercannon to breach the city's walls. In 1453, the siege began. For 53 days, outnumbered defenders held out bravely. Mehmed's cannons battered the walls, and in a daring move, his ships bypassed the harbor chain by being dragged overland. On May 29th, the final assault began. The Janissaries stormed through a breach. The last Byzantine emperor died fighting. By midday, Constantinople had fallen. Mehmed entered the city, converted Hagia Sophia into a mosque and made it his capital, renaming it Istanbul. The fall sent shockwaves through Europe, ending the Middle Ages. The Ottomans had become a world power. Istanbul now stood at the crossroads of continents and cultures. The city's legacy would shape the empire for centuries. The world had changed forever. The Ottoman era had truly begun. With Istanbul as its heart, the Ottoman Empire became a global force. Its strategic position controlled trade between East and West, bringing immense wealth. At its peak, the empire spanned 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. Ottoman armies reached Vienna, ruled the Middle East, and dominated North Africa. The Mediterranean became for a time an Ottoman lake. The empire was a mosaic of cultures, languages, and religions. Cities like Istanbul, Cairo, and Damascus thrived as centers of trade, learning, and art. Ottoman architects, artists, and scholars left a legacy still visible today. The empire absorbed and blended influences from Turkish, Persian, Arab, and European traditions. Ottoman control of trade spurred Europeans to seek new sea routes, launching the Age of Discovery. The quest for spices and silk led to Columbus and da Gama, and a new era of global history. The Ottomans shaped the world far beyond their borders. Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent embodied the Ottoman Golden Age. Known as the Lawgiver, he ruled from 1520 to 1566, expanding the empire to its greatest extent. His armies conquered Belgrade, Rhodes, and crushed Hungary at Mohacs, reaching the gates of Vienna. Suleiman's navy, led by Barbarossa, dominated the Mediterranean. But his legacy was more than conquest. He reformed the legal system, creating the Kanun, a unified code that brought order to his diverse empire. Suleiman was a patron of the arts and architecture, transforming Istanbul with grand projects by architect Mimar Sinan. The Süleymaniye Mosque stands as a testament to this era's elegance and ambition. Under Suleiman, military power, justice and culture flourished together. His reign marked a true renaissance for the empire. The world marveled at Ottoman splendor. After Suleiman's death, the Ottoman Empire began a slow decline. Sultans were now raised in isolation, leaving them inexperienced and weak. The Janissaries, once elite soldiers, became a political force, resisting change and undermining the state. European rivals advanced militarily and economically, shifting the balance of power. The failed siege of Vienna in 1683 marked the end of Ottoman expansion. The empire turned defensive, struggling to hold its territories. New sea routes to Asia bypassed Ottoman lands, eroding their economic base. Inflation and financial troubles led to unrest and rebellion. The government devalued currency and raised taxes, deepening the crisis. The empire's foundations were crumbling. The long sunset had begun, a decline that would last for centuries. The world was changing and the Ottomans struggled to keep pace. By the 1800s, the Ottoman Empire was called the sick man of Europe. European powers vied for influence, fearing the empire's collapse would spark war. Nationalist movements swept through Ottoman Europe. Greeks, Serbs, and Bulgarians fought for independence. The loss of Greece in 1830 set off a chain reaction of rebellion and shrinking borders. Sultans launched the Tanzimat reforms to modernize the state. New schools, courts, and a constitution. But reforms were resisted and often too late to stop the empire's decline. Financial woes mounted. The government borrowed heavily and lost economic sovereignty to European creditors. The empire became dependent on the very powers eroding its territory. The sick man was propped up, but at the cost of independence and dignity. The final crisis loomed. The Ottoman world was on the brink of collapse. The end was near. In the early 1900s, the Young Turks seized power, hoping to modernize and save the empire. Wars in the Balkans cost the Ottomans nearly all their European lands. World War I brought disaster. The Ottomans joined the Central Powers, hoping to regain lost glory. The war was brutal, fought on many fronts, and brought immense suffering. In 1915, fearing Armenian collaboration with Russia, the government launched a campaign of deportation and mass killing, the Armenian Genocide. By 1918, the empire was defeated and occupied by Allied powers. The Sultan was powerless, and the empire's fate was sealed. In Anatolia, Mustafa Kemal led a nationalist resistance, sparking the Turkish War of Independence. The old order was collapsing. A new nation was about to rise from the ashes. The Ottoman Empire's final breath had been drawn. The world was about to change once more. The Turkish War of Independence succeeded, and in 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was abolished. The Republic of Turkey was declared in 1923, led by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. The Ottoman Empire was gone, but its legacy endures. Modern Turkey, the Middle East, and the Balkans still bear its imprint, borders, conflicts, and cultures shaped by its fall. Ottoman influence lives on in architecture, cuisine, music, and art from Sarajevo to Cairo. They were not just conquerors, but builders and patrons of a vibrant, blended culture. The Ottoman story is a lesson in ambition, diversity, and the impermanence of power. It reminds us how vision can build empires, and how even the greatest can fade. Their legacy is a reminder of our shared, interconnected history. The story of the Ottomans is too important to forget. There is always more to learn.